Oh, yeah, we live. Hi, folks. Good morning. It's Monday morning, about 7 in the morning. Start of another great week, another week, chance to take life by the balls and impress our will upon it. Uh, and I wish you all the luck on that. This is Wisdom for the Rest of Us, the live rant. And, I'm trying to, with this podcast, I- I'm, for better or worse, I'm trying to gather wisdom for myself and and share with you what I'm finding. And and part of it is reading the great books. And I recently reread the Iliad by Homer, which is it's not a book of wisdom per se. It's a story. It just tells a straight story. It's one of the great things about it is it's a foundational text for storytelling in the European tradition. And in my on my writing channel, I talk about that, about what it teaches us about writing. But there's also, as I went through it, I realized that there's also certain wisdom in it that you can get from it. And there are three things that 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 the Iliad made me think about: death. I'm always thinking about death. Beauty. Sorry, death, love, and beauty. Those are the three things. I wanted to take beauty in the end because beauty is the thing I think that affected me most of these three things, which is very strange. Death, he talks a lot about the gods, right? The gods are the present in the Iliad. The Iliad is about Achilles, a hero. He's a half god, I guess, and he is furious, and he refuses to engage in the war with Troy. So he's supposed to be fighting Troy, but he is mad at his fellow Greeks, at Agamemnon for insulting him, and so he's pouting in his tent on the beach while the other Greeks are having their asses handed to them by the Trojans, and they're not making any progress, and they keep coming to Achilles and say, Achilles, you're the hero, you have to help us defeat the Trojans and get into that city and kill everyone, right? That's the heroic thing to do. You're gonna go into the Troy and kill everyone. And Achilles says, no, I'm mad, I'm insulted, I'm not helping you guys, you guys can go to hell. So that's the entire story of the Iliad, really. It's you think of it as a vast, epic war story between the Greeks and Troy, but all of that boils down to Achilles pouting in his tent, and not joining the war, and therefore ruining the war for the Greeks. So Greeks cannot win the war without it, and uh, and of course death is all around, but at the same time, at at every junction in the story, the gods come down. There's Apollo and Athena and Zeus and all these gods, and which confuse me. I don't we don't know these gods anymore, so they're just names to me. But they come down and they affect things, and they talk to, they inspire the warriors to go out to war. They tell Achilles what to do. They tell Agamemnon what to do. All that stuff. Okay, so but there's a big difference between the gods and the mortals, and that is death, of course. The gods are immortal, and the men are mortal. They're facing death, not only on the battlefield, but of course in normal life, like we do. And parallel to reading the Iliad, I was listening to a great courses lecture by Elizabeth Van de Veer, and she talked about this, and I realized, because if it's her idea, of course, and it's not only her idea. These philosophers have been talking about this for a long time. That difference is what makes humanity so human. This is different. This is what makes the heroes heroic. This is what makes human life, in all its squalor and all its bullshit and all its confusion and all its failure and all its frailty, all that, we're living in the mud here. We're really struggling just to get by, you know but death is what lends us majesty. And the reason is because in the Iliad, they see this, you can see this in the Iliad, the gods are kind of petty, and they're always just arguing about each other. You did this to me, you did that to me, and they have their favorites, and they're gullible, and they're bribable, and they're kind of, for being gods, for having this ultimate power and being immortal, they're at the same time they're pettier than humans. They're smaller than humans in their spirits. And that's a strange thing. If you look at the Iliad, how you juxtapose the humans and the gods, and the humans are often more heroic than the gods. And the reason is because the humans have everything to lose and the gods have nothing to lose. The gods are not facing death. So it doesn't matter what they do. They're going to go on and on like this. They don't have an endpoint. They don't have any need to redeem themselves. They don't have any need to prove themselves. They have no need to say, when I go, I want people to talk good about me, to say, he was a hero. He did this or that. They don't have to do that because they're never going to die. So they don't have this crushing, urgent endpoint that they're always thinking about. But humans, of course, do. And so we think about, I want to do something with my life. I want to have a heroic act. I want to build, my company. I want to be a good man, a good woman. I want to be beautiful. I want to have children, have my children remember me, and my grandchildren remember me. And I want to contribute something to this world. All of this, and a lot of philosophers say this, all of this comes from our awareness of death, because we're going to die. We see that endpoint coming up, and we say, I got to do something with my life. And the gods don't have that. The gods have no plan, you know. But the heroes on earth have plans, and that's what makes them heroic. That's what makes you and me heroic, because we're striving to make something greater out of our lives than we really have. Then we're just, wallowing around in the mud here. We're trying to, we're in the gutters. We're trying to look at the stars. We're trying to be more than we are, because the clock is ticking, because it's going to end. And when it ends, that's all we have to leave behind is the memory of us. And we're making that memory now. We're striving on it every day, every week, every Monday morning. We wake up and we say, I got to do something to redeem the memory of myself, which will come in the future when I'm gone. That's what makes us so much better than the gods. That's what makes us heroes in each of our little lives. Okay, I really like that thought. It inspired me. The other thing is love. Of course, the Iliad is a guy's book, right? It's a man's, not it's only men. It's only men. There are women in it, and there are some goddesses in it who are really quite warlike and vicious. But the most of the women, the human women in the Iliad, are just slaves. They're concubines, right? So this is really a guy's book, and of course, you know, Greek at that time, that I guess it's 8th century BC, was a guy's culture, right? It was just men. Fighting among each other. And people have said, of course, perhaps rightly so, that there is a homosexual element where, just men, strong men with, you know, big, big muscles nudging each other, winking at each other, that's fine. But the thing is, with Achilles, he's the whole story, like I said, pivots around Achilles not entering the war, staying away from the war. So the Greeks cannot succeed in this war. The Greeks will only lose this war because they don't have their hero to fight for them. They can't. Achilles is not joining the battle, and so they have to try to get Achilles to join the battle. So all throughout the book, they keep coming to Achilles and say, "Okay, look, Achilles, if you come and join the battle, we'll give you these prizes." And Achilles says, "No, I'm insulted." And so then they try again. They say, "Okay, Achilles, come look, Agamemnon, he insulted you. He will apologize, and he will give you wealth, and he will humble himself before you, and beg you publicly. So to make the wrong that he did to you, the insult that he gave to you, to make it right." And Achilles says, "No, it's too late for that. It's gone. There's nothing will convince me." And then the gods come down and says, "Achilles, you gotta join the war." And Achilles says, "Nope, not doing it." And so the and the Greeks will say, they try patriotism. They try all these things. They try, money. wealth, they try public honor, they try patriotism. You got to help the Greeks. This is your people, and they will die without you. They try a moral thing. You owe it to gods and to the humanity and to gods to help us in the war. They try all these motivations, all these arguments for him rejoining the war, and none of them work. They really go through, patriotism, morality, all these things, wealth, all these motivations do not work. And the reader is saying, well, this guy really is a stubborn guy. Nothing's going to get to work. But then in the end, they find something. And that's what they find. What they find is his best friend, Patroclus, the man he loves. And people have said, this is a homosexual thing. Okay, maybe not. There's no overtly homosexual act. They just have a great love between each other, and men can love men. There's nothing, So it's only our time that puts sex on it. Frankly, okay. So he has this great love for his friend. This is his best friend, and the best friend goes to war and is killed in the war by the enemy, by Hector, the Trojan hero, and they come to Achilles and say, "I'm sorry to say this, but your friend is dead, killed by Hector, the enemy." And that moves him. That moves him to war. He says, "That I just can't." He cries, I think, and he mourns, and he misses his friend. And it's love in the end that moves him. And that's the thing. This is thought through. This book is thought through. Homer sat there, whoever it is wrote it, sat there and figured out all these things that do not move Achilles, these arguments that are too weak to move Achilles. And then the argument that works. And the argument that works is the love. And that says everything about our lives. In the end, what we do for love. The biggest thing we do for love. The thing that moves us most is love. We're moved by a lot of things. We're motivated. We will, fight in a war for our country, patriotism, and we will give our lives for our own country. That's patriotism. We will devote our lives to gaining money and wealth. That's, greed or ambition or whatever. So we have a lot of motivations for a lot of things, but I think it's true that what the Iliad is telling us is that in the end, the one motivation that is the strongest, the ultimate motivation for us, why we live, why we do what we do, why we're moved to do what we do, why we would give our lives for some cause or for some other person is love. That's who we are as human beings. We do all kinds of things, we live for all kinds of reasons, but in the end, we live for love. And then the third thing is beauty. There's not much beauty in the there's beauty in the words, of course. Homer is a poet, so he makes everything beautiful. Yeah, every sentence is beautiful. Okay, got it. But it's a story about war, and so people are dying constantly. It's all about bloodshed and people killing each other and wanting to kill each other. People needing to, killing each other is depicted as a great thing. It's great. I killed these guys. Oh, I'm a great guy. You're no, you're not. You're a psychopath. You're a murderer, basically. No, so heroism in the Iliad is connected with killing people. Eh, okay, so today we would think, I don't know that if that's a good message, but the Homer has a thing that he uses, a device, a literary device called the epic. I think it's the epic simile. I think it's the epic simile where he says, he drove the spear shaft into the breast of the enemy like. And then he goes into some. I don't have any. I should have gathered some examples. I don't have examples. If you look up epic similes or Homeric similes in Google, you'll find examples. So usually you would say, in a normal book, you would say a simile is where you say like waves on the beach, like waves crashing on the beach. The waves of fear overcame him, or love. The feeling of love overcame him like waves crashing on the beach, like birds chirping in the skies, like spring, like the sunset rising on a spring day, or something like that. And you have these similes that you use that you read in most books are just one brief clause, like the sun rising in the sky, like the birds in the flight. But Homer goes all out on that. He says, like the birds in flight on a spring day when the birds are coming back from the South, and they fly in a certain in a certain foundation, and their cries fill the air, and their wings are tired from flying, and they fly overhead, and you wonder, where are they going? Where will they land? How long have they been flying? That's how, the Greeks stormed the walls. And so his similes are very long. They tell little stories of themselves that have nothing to do with the story at hand. It really is a story of the Iliad. The story is about war, and so he's talking about war, and then he goes off on some tangent for like 3, 4 lines, way longer than it needs to be. And he describes this thing, it's this thing of youth, this thing of love, of nature, of birds, of waves, of sheep's being herded on the hills, the milkmaid gathering milk or water from the well, or something like that. Some image that he unnecessarily expands until it becomes beautiful. And you ask yourself, why does he do this? Why does he go off so far, take such a long time to describe this image that has nothing to do with the image that you're talking about? He's really going off on a tangent. And the answer, I think, is because it's beautiful, because the image he has there is beautiful. And there's not much imagery in the war itself that is actually beautiful. He can describe it with beautiful words, but it's really war and squalor and death and bloodshed and tragedy all the time. But here he has, in these little asides, in these little, parentheses, he's going off and he's describing a thing of beauty, and he just inserts it into the text. And it's like he's saying everyone's dying and everyone is in on earth is struggling against death and struggling for life, and we're always on the edge of death. But here, take this. Here's a flower. Here's birds flying over here head. Here's a milkmaid. Here's a thing of beauty. In the middle of this catastrophe, in the middle of this squalor and tragedy of life, a thing of beauty. And that is also what we find in life itself. If you keep your eyes open going through life, and when you're going to work, you got your suitcase, and you're gonna, you work in a job in an office and your little cubicle, and it's miserable and it's stupid, and you do your job, but you don't get praised for it because it's just a job, and it's nothing special, and no one respects you for it. But as you go to work, you can see that, the beautiful woman walking past who has made herself beautiful, who's spent time on making herself beautiful, so she looks beautiful, so that she will be a little thing of beauty in the lives of the people around her. And you can look at her, and the vision of that beauty will stay with you at least for a while, and it will enrich your life. And it's free. That's the thing. It's free. You can look at the child playing in the playground, and the child is laughing because that's the whole thing, all of life now is playing in the playground. It's filling him up with joy, and that's a thing of beauty. And you can just take that little snapshot and see that little thing of beauty, and no one can take it from you. No one, it's free. No one will say, "Don't look at that kid. Don't look at that one. Don't look at that flower. Don't look at this. The sun coming up. Don't do that." No one will say that. It's okay. You can do that. You can take it, and you're not taking it away from anyone. You can take that sunrise, and you can put it in your pocket, and you can keep it the whole day, and it's a thing of beauty, and it's free, and no one can take it from you. They can fire you, you can fall on your face, you can, your investment in your own business can fail. You can, you can struggle to get through life, but that little snapshot of beauty, that cannot be taken from you. You can have that as long as you remember it. You can have it. Beauty just comes in from nowhere, and it's free, and it's this little thing. It's always there. There's always somewhere. There's something of beauty. And that kind of inspired me. That kind of made me think, what am I taking advantage of that in my life? Am I, do I get up every day and take a moment and look at something that's beautiful? I don't have much opportunity to because I spend most of my time, as a writer and, in my room writing. But I do go out for walks and I do talk to people and I look out the window and I watch things on TV and I'm actually surrounded by things of beauty, even if it's just TV, which is, not natural beauty, but still it's beauty because people are making something. They're making the scene that they're going to take a picture of the camera. It's some way into beauty in some way. They're making it into art. They're making art on TV, and that's the thing of beauty. But even then, I thought about this morning. I thought, what thing of beauty do I have? And I realized what it is, or one thing at least. I get up every morning. I fairly early, like around 6 or so, and the first thing I do is I open the windows to let some air in, right, some fresh air in. And I get the coffee and I sit down, and just about every morning at this time, the sun is coming up, and outside the air is fresh, so I feel the fresh air. I smell the fresh air coming in. I can smell it's because it's springtime. I can smell the leaves and the blossoming and the sap running, and there's this spring smell in the air. And I hear the cooing of pigeons. Pigeons, like they're in the roof, rats with wings, right? They're in the roof above me and they're doing something, I guess, pleasant. I would assume. I don't know what they're doing up there, but they're doing something that they enjoy doing, and they're cooing. For some reason, around a certain time each morning when I open the window, I hear that cooing, and there's this combination of sun coming up, the smell of spring coming in through the window, and the cooing of pigeons, and it's just a really beautiful moment. And it's really nothing. It's a throwaway moment. It's just this little thing that I see on the side, and sometimes I'm too grumpy in the morning, to even see it, but it's always there. This cooing of the pigeon, the spring morning, the freshness of the air. Well, okay, that's my thing of beauty. The thing of beauty that I can see each morning, or at least I did this morning, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad that I have that in my life, and I'm gonna remember it for as long as I can, maybe 24 hours, maybe a few hours, and then it'll be gone, and then I will look for the next thing of beauty. I wish you all, in your endeavor to overcome death in life, in your endeavor to find and honor and live for love, in your endeavors to find beauty and enjoy beauty and to snatch it when you find it. Just a little snapshot of beauty each morning, each day, to know that even if life is tough, there is some little compensation always out there somewhere. And all you have to do is look at it, and it won't solve all your problems, but it will make your life a little bit better, just a little bit. And it's free. I wish you all that. It's Monday morning. It's the first day of you have 7 days to change your life, folks. It's a new start in a new week. I wish you all the success this week, all the production, all productivity you need, all the love, luck, and happiness that the world can offer. Goodbye.